Hey friends, welcome back to the Guitar Max channel, and you might notice something strange going on here. It's not just the Guitar Max channel, but it's the Guitar Max and Bald Shredder channel.
Hey everybody, it's me, the Bald Shredder.
How you doing?
Good.
Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
And what's going on here? We've got two guitars, kind of made famous, allegedly, by awesome guitar players, Eddie Van Halen and
George Lynch, one of my favorites.
And I think we're going to do a little shootout here, right? See which one of these guitars is better.
Yeah.
And maybe they're not so different, actually.
They look pretty different.
They look pretty different, yeah.
When you get in there with the magnifying glass, maybe they're not so different.
So these are both Firefly models, kind of their Strat, the FFST, right? FFLST, right? And very, very similar specs. Obviously, Strat bodies, single humbuckers. They both have coil splitting, right?
Yep, coil split on this one.
Floyd Rose bridges. They both have the roasted maple necks, 22 frets. We noticed the tuners are slightly different, right?
So yeah, they're just so you guys know, these guitars seem to be way more similar than they are different.
Right.
Very few differences, and one of the few differences is the tuner size or the tuner style. This one has sort of the little bean size tuners, if that's what you call them, and then that one has more of like the regular full size that you see on a lot of guitars. That's one of the few differences, other than the graphic, of course.
Yeah, and to me that's a little strange because the headstocks are identical.
Yep.
Maybe they just changed parts at some point or something.
I don't know. You know, sometimes you wonder, like, was that a conscious decision they made, or sometimes it's a supply issue.
Right.
Like, they can't always get, like, the same parts or the same size parts or whatever, or it was going to be, like, several months until they got... Maybe they couldn't get black ones in that size. I don't know. It could be, or, you know, maybe they specifically decided, we want this size tuners on this guitar. I don't know. Yeah.
But that's one of the few differences. But, you know, these are both pretty cool guitars and pretty amazing for the price. Obviously, these are what, like the $279, like still under $300 for these, which for a Firefly is pretty expensive, but compared to most other guitars, it's super, super affordable. And also not very many guitars in that price range where you can get a double locking bridge like this.
At that price, yeah.
Yeah.
And we should point out that these both have a real Floyd Rose bridge, and that was one thing I was curious about that one, because I didn't know if that one had the Floyd Rose logo on it.
Right.
And it does. It has the same Floyd Rose logo. You've talked about this a lot in your other videos, like what Floyd Rose is it, what quality, and it's, you know, it's on the lower end.
Sure.
But it's actually quite functional, and I have no issues with the Floyd on this one. Like, it, you know, plays like it's supposed to, and seems to stay pretty much in perfect tune.
Yeah, like as you guys will hear when we get into the demo, the bridges function excellent. I think probably the real question is, a year from now, 2 years from now, will it still work as well? Like, how are they gonna, the durability, how's that gonna be?
Right.
Yeah. But these are really cool, obviously, and you know, we have both talked about Firefly guitars so much on our channels. It is, I think, one of the funnest companies right now because of all these, the huge variety of stuff that they're making, right?
And they've been doing recently, it seems like recently, a whole bunch of these artist-inspired models.
Yes.
That might be the best way to describe them, because they're not like an official artist-endorsed guitar. Like, this is not, they don't call this the George Lynch guitar. They don't call that the Eddie Van Halen guitar. It's an artist-inspired, and, you know, not just these two. There's a whole bunch of them, and they all look really cool.
Yeah, there's a dime bag guitar and a bucket head, all kinds of stuff like that, right?
John 5, I think they have one of those.
Absolutely, yeah. And people will, you know, obviously different people have different feelings about this, and, you know, obviously it says Firefly on it. It doesn't say ESP or EVH.
Yeah.
And there are minor differences within the graphics that separate them from the, like a $1,500 EVH guitar.
Yeah, they're not pretending that we're not pretending that this is an ESP or an LTD. It's a Firefly. It says it right on the headstock.
Yeah, but you know, there are some people out there that feel that it's too accurate of a too close of an inspiration or something like that, and it's, you know, maybe it's different for EVH, who is no longer with us, versus George Lynch, who I hope will continue to be with us for a long time. Maybe that makes a difference in how people feel about it. But what's your take on these with the Firefly guitars that do this stuff?
It's a very fine line, I think. I think as long as they are not infringing on some kind of trademark, obviously a tiger stripe design, this is not something that belongs exclusively to George Lynch or to ESP. Any number of guitar companies have done guitars with tiger stripes, Kramer, Charvel, and you know, anybody could do it. Obviously, it's inspired by the George Lynch guitar, but you know, it does, like I said, it doesn't say George Lynch on it, doesn't say ESP on it, so I think it's totally fine. That one's a little more questionable. That was a little, you know, again, a fine line, because very obviously that's the inspired by the Van Halen guitar. A little bit different than this one, but again, if it's not infringing on their trademark, I don't see a problem with it.
Okay, guys, well, let's go ahead and get into the demo so you guys can hear what these guitars sound like, and we're both going to play both of these guitars, and we'll talk a little bit more about the difference and kind of the comparison, that kind of stuff. But of course, guys, real quick, if you enjoy awesome videos like this one, checking out cool new affordable guitars, and staying up on all the latest news in the guitar universe, and you have not already subscribed to both of our channels for some reason that I just have not been able to figure out yet, I don't know why you wouldn't do that, but consider doing it right now. And of course, subscribe to my channel, but I'll have a link for the Bald Shredder channel down in the video description below. Okay, so we just played them. Did you notice a big difference between them? I noticed a couple differences, but it could have been setup stuff. But what about you?
Yeah, maybe setup stuff. I mean, I'm not gonna say they played exactly the same. There was not like. I think if I closed my eyes, I could tell the difference. One thing is that on the Lynch guitar, I changed the strings. I took off the factory strings, which I'm pretty sure were 10 gauge, and I put on a different set of 9 gauge strings. And this one still has the factory strings, right?
Right.
Now, here's the interesting part. These strings do not feel like 10 gauge strings to me. These actually feel like 9 gauge. I haven't measured them, but yeah, I didn't feel a big difference in the strings. And I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I kind of feel like maybe this one played a little bit better than the Lynch one. Did I just say that? What did you think?
Yeah, to me, I felt like the action is a little bit lower on this one.
Yeah.
And that could come down, obviously, to just a factory setup or something. And
right.
a different guy at the factory set him up. But like the neck profile, though, to me, it feels identical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's show them the back of the neck. Now, it's interesting because on the Lynch guitar, it's a darker wood, and I don't know if they just put a darker stain, but it's way more flamey than this one.
Yeah.
Like really nice looking flame on that neck. So that's one of the most visible differences.
But all the contours, like down here by the neck joint and up here at the headstock, all the contours really look identical. So, you know, whatever is carving out these necks, they've got the same settings in there, or the same guy doing it or something. And of course, the same headstock on these.
Right. And the body. I mean, it's basically like they could have made these at the same time and just made a whole bunch of these bodies because they are routed out exactly the same. They're routed for the top mount Floyd, one humbucker, one volume. You know, all the plates are in the exact same place.
And they've got the
necks
same
are pretty like identical. Yeah,
belly cut.
Yep.
Yeah,
belly
and the
cut.
contour on the back of the lower horn is the same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it's very efficient for them to do that in the factory where, you know, okay, let's make all these bodies, let's make all these necks. Some of them will paint with the tiger stripe and some of them will paint with the red and white stripes. And pretty cool how they did it that way.
Yeah. And I love that idea. Like the concept of like, hey, we're going to make, you know, these are both single humbucker guitars, right? Bridge humbucker guitars. Mm-hmm. So maybe, I mean, I'm sure it'd be easy to take the same body and route out like for a neck pickup or something. But I love the idea of taking almost like a modular guitar or something. Like we're going to take this same piece and use it and switch out the finish or switch out the pickup arrangement or switch out maybe the pickup type, something like that. And then we can do to take the same foundation and, you know, vary what we build on top of it. And we were talking earlier, like, what are some other guitars? And you said, you know, the Warren DeMartini guitar, right?
Right, the Warren DeMartini, the Charvels, because it would fit this mold perfectly. Because if you go and look at those, like the one with the blood drip and the skulls, it's got a top-mounted Floyd, one humbucker, one volume, and it would be perfect for that kind of thing as well.
And another awesome 80s guitar player.
Right, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so what about the sound? Do you think these are the same pickup?
I would guess that they are, but again, you never know. Like, did they make these at the same time? So did they have the same batch of pickups? It could have been made separately. They could be different pickups. If I had to guess, I'd probably say they are the same. I think they sounded very similar.
Yeah.
But you know what? We can test the output really quick to see if we're getting like the same amount of power coming out. Let's do that.
Let's do it.
All right, guys, I got my little meter reader here. I'm going to put it here in my lap. I'm going to put these two, got connected to the Lynch guitar. The volume needs to be turned up. Is it up?
Yep, all the way up.
Okay. Nice. 14.85K on the output. So for me, that's like the perfect amount to get that 80s crunch shred sound. So very nice. Let's check the Eddie Van Halen one.
Okay, that's plugged in. Volume up.
All right, here we go. Let's see what we got. I predict it's going to be about the same. Yeah, about 14.4.
5,
45, yeah, it's jumping around. But yeah, I I would say they're the same pickups.
Same pickups. Certainly within tolerances, right? Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So what do you say we weigh them and see if they weigh the same? I'll bet they'll be just about the same.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so Eddie Van Halen weighs 7.96.
Okay.
7.96. There it is, guys. 7.96.
Okay, and how much does Lynch weigh here?
It's about 7.3. 7.28. There's the Lynch, guys. So slightly lighter than the EVH guitar for whatever reason.
Yeah. Well, I would chalk that up to slight, it's a different tree that the wood came from, slightly,
absolutely
wood is less dense.
And we can see that the neck wood is different.
Yeah.
Right? It's darker, it's got a different flame in it. I mean, I don't know how much that could contribute to it, but I mean, it's just a very slight difference. So
yeah. But yeah, obviously the hardware weighs the same. It's all identical hardware.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, they're both a nice weight, right? Comfortable weight for a Strat.
Yeah, not too heavy.
Now, spec-wise, there are, some other things we didn't go over, which I think we really like. But, yes, they both have 22 frets. It's the rounded ball-in frets.
Stainless steel.
This is stainless steel, yeah. You'd say that's like a medium jumbo, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then the pickup itself is the same, but that one has a pickup ring, and this one does not.
Yeah. I would actually prefer if this one didn't have the ring, because I like those I like the look of the direct mounted pickup. I can't remember, like if I looked at the LTD George Lynch model, it probably has the pickup ring, so they're just going for that look, but I mean, again, it doesn't really matter. And again, both of these, which is really convenient, have the truss rod adjuster down at the end of the neck, which is really cool.
Yeah, I love that. It's by far my favorite, truss rod adjustment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the color of the hardware is different, and that's really pretty much it, right?
Okay, I want to look at the headstocks here, guys. So, of course, they both have the same Firefly headstock. This one with the matching graphic and this one not. I don't know how you feel about it, Max, but I've always thought that one thing that Firefly could improve is maybe kind of a better headstock design. This one just looks a little bit bulky, a little bit big to me.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, with the graphic on there and being painted, it doesn't bother me as much, or it doesn't seem as noticeable. It looks better with the graphic. So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I agree on that guitar for sure. My thing with the headstock is the shape and also the color of the headstock. Mm-hmm. And this happens a lot with a guitar with a maple neck and then a rosewood fretboard, and then there's some completely different color on the body, and it's still, and so you get the natural maple color up here, and that's the only time you see that color on the front of the guitar. To me, it kind of throws off the look of the guitar. So it's either you have it like this, where the fretboard is the same as the headstock, or like that, where you paint the headstock to match the body, and that ties it together really nice.
In general, do you prefer painted headstocks or unpainted headstocks?
I think there's a lot of exceptions, but I think in general, I prefer painted ones. Yeah.
It's kind of funny you say that, because your signature model is an unpainted headstock.
Well,
I just remember that.
That's one of the exceptions.
But going back to what you said,
right?
On your signature models, the color of the headstock matches the fretboard. It's the same wood. It's the same color, so it does look good.
Yeah. And one of the sawtooth guitars, right? Mm-hmm. I've talked about sawtooth a lot, and I'm anxiously awaiting whenever they get around to releasing their new models, which I know they've been working really hard on. But they did 3-4 years ago. They released some new models, and they were these cool variations on traditional pickup arrangements, where they had a Telecaster pickup but on a Strat body and things like that. But that was one of the things I didn't like about those guitars, was they would do a mahogany body, so it's a nice dark brown body, and then a rosewood fretboard, and then a bright maple headstock, and it was just I wish it could have been either put a veneer on the headstock to match the body, which could have been really cool, or just painted, I think. But
so just to give everybody an idea of what you're talking about, I'm going to show an example here. even though this is one of my absolute favorite guitars, it's one of my self-builds, a custom build. Amazing guitar, plays awesome. You got the body, which is like a natural burl, and I just put a stain on it to give it kind of like a chocolate color. But then you've got the fretboard, which is rosewood, so that matches, you know, pretty close. But then, oh no, it's got the headstock that Max doesn't like because it's the plain maple color that doesn't match that and doesn't match that. But now, I have to say, though, I don't know if this would look good if I like tried to color it to match the body in this particular case. So I think it's kind of a case-by-case thing, you know? I mean, I don't know. Because it's not painted, so it's not like I could paint the headstock. And a lot of times, when you put stain or something on a certain kind of wood, like this is burl, and if I put the same stain on there, the color wouldn't be the same. It'd be different anyway. So
Could you do a maple fretboard instead of the rosewood?
Well,
only rosewood?
I could. Let me see if I have something like that. So you're talking about like, you know, something like this.
See, now that looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the whole thing matches.
The whole thing matches.
You got the maple fretboard, the maple headstock, and then of course a different color on the body. So it just depends. I think we have to go on a guitar by guitar basis.
Yes. A lot of nuance in guitar design, color design,
yeah.
But that guitar looks awesome.
Yeah, thank you. This is probably the oldest guitar that I have in my collection at this point, as far as how long I've had it compared to all the others.
Okay, guys, but look, we really want to know, what do you guys think about these guitars? Do you like the Firefly stuff, where it's the inspired by guitars? And for anybody else that owns one of these guitars out there, how do you like it? What do you think about it? And then the other thing is, we were saying, you know, Warren DeMartini, that one particular guitar would be a great choice to do another guitar like this. But give us some other suggestions. So it's got to be this body, a Floyd Rose. Maybe we could add a second pickup if you want to, but you know, basically the same specs, but something that's maybe a really iconic finish that would be really recognizable. Something that we haven't thought of. Let us know down in the comments section below. All right, well, dude, thanks again, man.
Easy on the kung fu grip there.
Yeah, this was great. Thanks for letting me check out the George Lynch model, or the inspired by George Lynch model.
Yeah.
And there'll be, this is the one thing we should mention, of course, at the end of the video here, is it's a little difficult to get these guitars. So I'll put links in the video description, but don't be too mad at me if they're currently sold out or something like that. Someday, they'll be back in stock.
Yes, and I have not done my official review demo video of this guitar yet on my channel because of that very reason. I'm trying to wait until they're back in stock, so hopefully that'll be coming up pretty soon, guys, so be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, guys, thanks a ton for watching. If you enjoyed the video, thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll both talk to you very soon.
Bye.